Ladies, I tried. I wanted to love this movie. Long before I saw it, I defended it. Welcome to Amaka Intellectual Factory, where I host podcasts and many other interesting stuff. The 1985 movie adaptation by the same name and from the same book was a grand masterpiece. I thoroughly enjoyed every moment of the 1985 movie adaptation. It touched me. Everything about the 1985 movie, The Color Purple, was stellar. Go check out my review on it. But I wish I could say the same about the 2023 movie, The Color Purple. Let me tell you, I was ready for the haters. I was ready. My critique might come off as harsh, but that's because we are no longer used to hearing or telling the truth. Even when white people tell on themselves, they are a lot more honest and less revisionist than many black people speaking on black history. And when you feel the need to hide a crucial part of black history, you compromise that history, and as a result, wickedness and suffering increases. I pondered on why the 1985 movie was a lot more explicit on European unprovoked aggression and hostility towards black people. I really thought about it. Then I realized that it was the success of the civil rights movement in the 1970s that made this possible. That is why movies like the 1985 The Color Purple and TV series Roots were possible. The civil rights movement in the 1970s was very successful. But black people gained victory and then went to sleep. They saw how their enemies lost and walked away with their tails tucked between their legs, and then imposed on themselves amnesia, totally forgetting they still had to police themselves. Failing to realize they had to be proactive in matters concerning them. How do you figure out a person is the source of your suffering, yet you freely delegate all matters concerning the governing of your life to them? And you see this till today in the way black people govern themselves. Even when they have the power to stop the suffering of black people and improve the quality of the lives of black people, these black leaders, and I'm not talking about the corrupt ones, I mean the so-called good ones. These so-called good black leaders remain docile as black people suffer. You see, one of the many things I like about Catholic forgiveness prayers is that it urges Catholics to pray for sins of not just commission, but sins of omission. So after the success and progress of the civil rights movements in the 1970s, black people, as a result of their omission and failure to further capitalize on their success, found themselves increasingly suffering. And you know what the Christian faith teaches about casting out demons? Let me read the book of Matthew, chapter 12, verses 43 to 45 for you. When a defiling evil spirit is expelled from someone, it drifts along the desert, looking for an oasis. Some unsuspecting soul, it can bedevil. When it doesn't find anyone, it says, "I'll go back to my old haunt." On return, it finds the person spotlessly clean, but vacant. It then runs out and rounds up 7 other spirits more evil than itself, and they all move in, whooping it up. That person ends up far worse off than if he'd never gotten cleaned up in the first place. That's what this generation is like. You may think you have cleaned out the junk from your lives and gotten ready for God, but you weren't hospitable to my kingdom message. And now, all the devils are moving back in. I'm not trying to preach, but these particular verses make sense and are very applicable to my point. I will tell you now, Christianity in its wholeness is part of Black people's problem. It teaches you the same docility that I am speaking up against. So, as a result of our docility, the white man came back 7 times stronger and got rid of affirmative action. He didn't stop there. He further went after Black women and other women of color's financial autonomy in his current lawsuit against Fearless Fund. I will fill you ladies in on this in another video because I'm interested in that lawsuit where the same white man that successfully struck down affirmative action is currently after Black women's financial freedom. Of course, the Black woman could care less. She's too busy trying to be feminine for her white zaddy. I digress a little, pardon me. But it was just necessary to put all these out there before my analysis. And please take them as coming from a place of love. The 2023 movie The Color Purple is what happens when nepotism and fear of white people have eaten into the intellectual faculty and creativity of Black people. I guess before I go deeply into my critique, I have to put out this disclaimer. This is not the typical self-hating Black woman rant. I'm not some pick-me trying to get validation from the Black manosphere. My critique is all intellectual and all love. Black sisterhood love. And need I remind you that the name of my channel is Amaka Intellectual Factory. Let us call a spade a spade. It's very obvious that the makers of the movie took white people into consideration than they did Black people. And this is the curse of the Black race that robs Black people of a beautiful life. It doesn't matter what part of the world you are in. Anywhere Black people are, their representatives are doing the bidding of white people. The makers of this movie really did not want to offend white people. As a result of that, it severely compromised the story of the movie. This is the problem with being politically correct or woke. If you've watched my review of the 1985 movie, then your guess is as good as mine. This movie watered down the part where white people ganged up against Sophia for refusing to be the maid of an insolent white woman. And it's not just the fear of offending white people that robbed this movie of a chance of excellence. Nepotism played a major role in also making this movie bad. Nepotism. Please, tell me how Halle Bailey would have been a good pick to play Nettie. This is not a jab at Halle Bailey. She just wasn't the right person for that role. And her acting was not good. As a matter of fact, the whole acting in the movie was not good. This movie is meant to be a musical. I love musical movies, but none of the music was memorable. This is probably the first musical movie I have watched and did not remember any song. Usually at the end of a musical, I always find myself humming a song. Not for this movie. I didn't even hum Miss Silly's Blues. Also, why did Taraji P. Henson play Shug Avery? Please tell me why. Yet another misfit for the role. The cast of the movie was just wrong. A lot of them were too old and overweight for the role. The acting was not good. And I'm not trying to be funny, I'm not. But at some point, it felt like I was watching Wakanda Forever. There was a scene there in slow motion. I think it is where Nettie was describing her stay in Africa. It looked like a scene taken right out of Wakanda Forever. Let me quickly add that I really enjoyed watching Wakanda Forever, and hopefully in the future I would be doing a review on that movie. And the reason is, Wakanda Forever was so symbolic. And I think a lot of people missed it. Anyway, back to The Color Purple 2023 movie, please. The cast was just wrong. They looked as if they woke up one morning and walked right into the theater. Their acting was not engaging at all. The actors failed to capture the characters they were playing. I was always conscious of the fact that I was watching Fantasia and not Celie. I was conscious of the fact I was watching Taraji and not Shug Avery. I was conscious of the fact I was watching Halle Bailey and not Nettie. And when Halle Bailey grew up to be Sierra, I was like, yo, what is this? Nepotism. Nepotism. Say no to nepotism. Are you trying to tell me, as multi-talented so many Black Americans are, you cannot find suitable people to play these characters? Unless the intention was to have an all-star cast. I would think that the intention ought to be the best way to adapt the novel to a movie, especially with the newer technologies available. Even if an all-star cast was intended, this all-star cast was just wrong. When they were singing, you could tell Fantasia was trying not to outsing Taraji. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant Celie was trying not to outsing Shug Avery. This is what happens when nepotism, political correctness, or wokeness is allowed to influence creativity or intellectualism. There are over 1,000 Black American girls that would have played Nettie way better than Halle Bailey. Or doesn't Hollywood do cast interviews anymore? And even as a bi woman, I found the part where Fantasia and Taraji were singing together cringy. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant the part where Celie and Shug Avery were singing. Do you see what I'm talking about? And then there was the controversy of Taraji going off on Oprah for a movie that is supposed to be about Black sisterhood. Ladies, I'm speechless on that. Really, that's my movie review for the 2023 The Color Purple movie. The stars themselves are great in their individual rights. For me, it's the putting together of the stars and the obvious poor preparation that was the problem. It's all love, but like I said at the start of my review, it would come off as harsh. But it's my honest review, and you are all welcome to give your thoughts on my review. Well, that's all I have to say for now. Until next time, take care of your lovely selves, and remember, life is beautiful and worth living.